Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Euro 2024. My name is Clayton.
And my name is James. How are you, Clates?
I'm good. I'm good. I thoroughly enjoyed the football last night. It was chaos in periods, and we've got a quarter-final lineup.
Yeah, state the obvious, mate.
Yeah,
And a
no,
very
but
strong one, I think. Overall, you could substitute one or two teams for some slightly more historical names, such as Italy. But I think it's a strong looking quarter-final lineup, let's say.
very.
Before we talk last night's two games and then perhaps some brief thoughts about what's next, how did Euro Fantasy finish for you? Well, it finished the day before, didn't it?
It did finish the day before. I finished on 81 points, and as you rightly pointed out, it was. My green arrow was going to get slightly less because I had no more coverage. And certain people had Gakpo, certain people captained him. But I'm still overall, it was a green arrow for the round for me, so up to 192k overall. So I'm not flying the Planet FPL flag here, but
I am.
someone with Gakpo captain even is. How'd you get on in the end?
Finally. Finally. I'm also tempted to say mine the Gakpo, mate. Yeah, he was the only player I had yesterday. And has meant it's finished well. I finished on 90 points. So goal assist, um, and man of the match, which was a brief concern that Daniel Marlon might be nicking that, considering he scored twice. But I think it was deserved. I think he's their outstanding attacking player. He actually could have had more. I don't think the goal and assist was a freak, and watching it, I was quite expecting that he'd hit the man of the match. So, yeah, finished on 90 for me, which means I've got 14 players remaining for the quarterfinals. All 15 have gone through. I've lost Mark Gay through suspension. I'm not aware of losing anyone at this stage to injury. So, I mean, with the difficulty
Keeping the
of
wild card
calling,
then?
yeah, with the difficulty of calling the ties, I think particularly on Friday, and me having quite a strong bit of coverage of it, and the fact we always say under this format, gamble on day one.
Yeah.
I'll take the best of whatever it lands on day one, I think, and then obviously hammering the players for day two. I'm kind of restricted a little bit by some of the transfers. What I mean by that is obviously not wildcarding means I stick very much with England.
Hmm.
Because I've got the coverage there. What's the point of me throwing in Swiss attackers when I've got treble England defense, for example? So it restricts me to that. So if I did want to go right, I want to go 4 or 5 Switzerland players, then I should be wildcarding. But I don't think it's enough to justify doing that. And obviously, if I did it and then they lose, then it looks shit for the strategy for the knockout. So I think I'll probably move Bruno Fernandes. I think I'll move Mark Gay, and I might move Morata. That's the thinking at the moment.
What's the thinking behind Morata?
Um, I've got a little bit of coverage there with Nico Williams. And let's just be honest, he's just a frustrating fantasy football bastard, isn't he? Basically.
Yeah.
Um, I captained him against Georgia. If you listen to me pick one player you think might be the highest scoring player this week, I'd say probably Morata, actually. It's probably the name I would have give you. 1 point return in a 4-1 victory.
And it was an
He's
early
playing
sub as
fine for
well.
them, by the way. He's not a major problem. It's probably more just what I can, and the fact I've got the influence of England, well, I can flip him into Kane
Yeah.
by downgrading Bruno Fernandes and going. I think you want to target Holland now,
Yeah.
really, because I've already got Gakpo. Okay, right, Simmons and a defensive one, be it Dumfries, Van Dijk, probably Dumfries. That's probably what I'm looking at in terms of the free transfers. So then I'll kind of have an all-in day two strategy of the Netherlands and England,
Yeah.
and it will leave me with not much from France, Portugal, just Mbappe, Hernandez, and then Costa from Portugal, and quite a bit of split between Germany and Spain, and we'll take whatever we get from it. So,
Sure.
yeah, I think the games are tough enough to call that for me, with a full complement. I mean, how much do I actually change if I wild
Yeah.
card? I would have to be sitting here, I think, going, right, I want to steam in Switzerland,
Yeah.
which I don't want to do that. It's not the fun way of doing this anyway, because football
Go on.
might
Say the line.
might
Say the line, bot.
feel like it's come to an end come Saturday evening. You all know what I'm about to say, and I'm not going to say it. So yeah, I think I'll probably stick with where I'm at. You?
Very similar to you. I've same as you. 15 have gone through, losing one because of Gay's suspension. Similar split in terms of England coverage, Germany, Spanish players, and Portuguese and France. I've only got Costa, Pepe, and Mbappe in that fixture, so I'm very much the same. And in terms of the players I'm looking to move on, I think it will be Fulkrug, obviously Gahey, and the reason I asked for your thinking on Morata is because I've got Morata, so I'm undecided on what to do with him. Fulkrug, I'm not in love with. Like I said on the pod we did the other day, I kind of went there because of the lineup rumors. So I did have Havertz in there. So I'm going to see if I can do something similar to you in terms of can I flip Fulkrug and Morata into a cheaper striker and Kane, get some Dutch coverage in there. I've not got anything from them. So yeah, even though we've got different players, I feel like the coverage split is quite similar. So strategy
Yeah.
wise, I'm going the same.
I think where you probably want to land, and there will be some going to wild card this week, you probably do want to land in what I would call all in day two strategy. Like it doesn't matter if you have a bit of a split of Germany, Spain on day one, and whatever does well for you, you keep, and whatever doesn't, you obviously substitute out. If you strongly fancy France, for example, go down that route. I think day two is where you want your all in strategy. Because if you just have the best of day one and then you hit it well day two, it will look like an all in strategy
Yeah.
by the end. I can understand because of the difficulty of calling the ties why people would want to hedge their bets on certain things. I don't mind that. If people want to go one English defensive, one Switzerland defensive, I don't mind that sort of thing. But I think for those wild carding, those even plotting transfers, yeah, try and get to a day two all in strategy where you don't have conflictions. That means that despite winning last night, we probably do avoid Turkey quite a bit, I think, and
Yeah.
probably do target the Netherlands, I think, based on what I saw last night. The Netherlands will rightly be favourites, despite not overly inspiring. I think we'll
Who's the
talk
bookies'
about the
favourites
games.
for Spain, Germany? Do you know? Would it be Germany?
I think it's ever so slightly Spain, but that
Okay.
that was the case earlier in the week. I've not looked lately. I'm just going to look at the markets now. So yeah, I mean slightly Spain to win. France, obviously, and then it'll be England and Netherlands. I know some people really what?
Yeah, just
Yes,
going off the markets there.
it will be. I mean, Switzerland, you can get 3-1 on Switzerland to win in 90 minutes. And I think there'd be a shrewd people looking at some of that. But then Turkey's 5-1 to beat the Netherlands,
Wow.
to give you an example. So the closest one they've got in the betting markets is the Spain Germany game.
Yeah.
So I think if it was neutral venue, I think Spain would be fancied more, but it is on German soil as well. One thing about Turkey as well, because I bet I'll forget to cover this, but they're almost like they're playing at home.
They have got
Like,
a large following, haven't they?
yeah, but there's a huge population of Turkish people in Germany. Um, and despite the fact Austria borders Germany, there was way more Turkish fans in that ground
The
last night.
noise was unbelievable.
And interestingly, I just wonder if Berlin is a bad venue for them the weekend. And there's a lot of Turkish people in Berlin, but what I mean is the stadium doesn't create that kind of environment.
Yeah, it's a bit
Last night,
far, right?
with the weather, the closeness to the pitch in Leipzig, etc., it felt like you could have been watching like a domestic cup tie or
Yeah.
something. In Berlin, it doesn't feel like that. The setting just feels very different as a football match. So although they'll have huge support, and the Dutch will obviously well supported
Bit
as
like West
well,
Ham with like the distance and stuff.
you've got it's an athletics track around it,
Yeah.
right? So interestingly, should England meet Turkey in the semi, it would be in Dortmund.
Okay.
I think you would find we would be drastically outnumbered.
It would be a red wall.
Yes, most likely. And again, England will clearly be very well supported. It's one of the easier venues from England to Germany to get to as well. But the Turks are going to have so much support out there. It does give them a little bit of advantage. It also creates some pressure. Like I felt that last night as well, watching the game when it was under duress, that they might have been feeling the tension from the crowd a bit as well. There'd possibly moments where they could do without it in a weird way, although I'm sure it inspires as well. Um, Whereas on the other side of the draw, I think Germany will find in their games that they will feel like they're playing at home. If they beat Spain, respectively as France, Portugal, I think they will feel like Germany are playing in a home tournament.
Yeah.
It might do a little bit for Turkey as well. I've got so much support out there.
Yeah. You could see
Interesting,
it
Tim.
even last night after the game, there were like kind of fireworks going off in Germany and stuff. And yeah, it's a good point in terms of the following they've
Can we
taken.
have a moment for the um choreographed Romania flares? They let off a blue, yellow, and red in order, didn't they? So it created like a Romanian flag. But literally about 20 seats away on the left, some geezer's got this massive flag. Something health and safety is just not
I
quite
know
right here.
someone listening right now is saying the words, I can't even take a bottle cap into Wembley.
Also, if you are going to games, I realise there's probably not that many people here listening who have been to or are still going to games. Start throwing cups on a pitch. It's really boring now.
Do you think it was
Ser-
anyone listening to this podcast? I doubt it.
It's so boring.
It is boring.
It's
Yeah.
such a West Ham United thing to do, right? If that doesn't inspire people to
Oh.
stop, please stop. It's really boring.
Why is that a West Ham United
They all
thing to
did it in the
do?
Conference League final when they won
Oh,
it, didn't
okay.
they? When they won their big trophy. You know the one. Let's talk yesterday's games.
Let's do it.
Did you
Romania
watch all
nil,
of Romania
Netherlands free.
Netherlands?
I did, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm keen to I missed the first 15 minutes or so. So I'm keen to get your view on Romania because from what I watched, the Netherlands just dominated the football match. But at half time and even through the course of the commentary in the first, I was saying Romania started really well.
They
Did
did,
they?
but define what you mean by well. Like they had moments where they kept the ball. They were like quite aggressively running through the Dutch and getting into the final third. But they didn't really create anything. So when the commentators were saying, "Oh, they've started really well," it was more like, okay, like there's periods here where they're getting into dangerous areas, better decision making. They could do something, but it never really translated anything. And I don't want to take anything away from them. Like they've had a great tournament. I think they've really impressed and stuff. But fundamentally, if you look at it, they had five shots, I believe. One was on target. So it never really converted into anything. And I know you and many others have said, even a lot of my friends last night in group chats and stuff, like not because obviously we're trying to forecast and project to who England might get. A few of my mates were like, oh,
Why
fancy.
are we doing that?
I know. A few of my mates were like, oh, fancy us against the Dutch. I was like, I'm not sure. Like, I know you said they didn't overly impress, but I thought they did what they needed to do. On another day, they could have got more. It was just a game that was, I think, very end to end in periods. The one thing I'd say about the Dutch was they didn't control it as much as I thought they would, given the opposition. But when you win 3-0 and you've created, oh, I don't know what their XG was. My app is crashing on me, but I believe it was over two, which is always a good barometer of clear chance creation.
Yeah, three. I think it was over
Was it
two
free?
just in the second
Okay,
half,
yeah.
actually, by the end.
Um, I thought they did what they needed to do in abundance to get the job done. So yeah, for me, it was. I don't really understand where it's coming from that the Dutch didn't really impress personally.
Yeah, word on Romania first. It does look like they went kind of heavy, real man to man early on, and that's where the pressure kind of intensified. I think the theory on it was that the Dutch were really struggling to get out in the sort of the opening quarter of the game. Shout out to Yanis Hadji, son of Georgie, and his condom on his head. It was always going to happen to someone at this tournament at some point. He was the unlucky fella. I think Romania, as Callan, who was obviously on the podcast last week, has covered, like very proud of what they've done. In a weird way, 3-0 felt harsh by the end yesterday, but also felt right,
By
actually.
the end,
It was
yeah,
more just it didn't feel like Romania deserved the slap at the end. That's all it was. But that they were well beaten. As gutted for my boy Radu Dragishin at
he
centre back because
couple
done
brilliant.
really well. Um, and has shown me, because I've had some concerns about him, that there's a real good centre back there on the second goal. Deal with it, mate,
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
Gakpo's touch on that goal is very strange. It's clear Dragishin thinks that Gakpo's not going to get there. The touch he takes is remarkable because any normal touch would take it out of play.
yeah.
And even if he did keep it in play, you just diverting it to an opponent or a teammate. But the touch he takes almost digs it with backspin on the
Yeah,
inside of his foot, so then he can keep it in again and play it to Marlon. It was one of them that felt weird when you were watching it live. You were like, did he? I think he kept
great
that in,
close
but it doesn't
control.
feel
Yeah,
right. And when you see the replay, the touch he takes is remarkable bit of skill actually. And he's been the standout player for them, I think,
Yeah, he's
Cody
been
Gakpo.
phenomenal. Yeah.
Um, the big moment of the game comes from Jordy Charlton, which is the pass to Xavi Simons on the first goal.
Yeah.
I don't suppose Declan Rice or Kobe Mino are listening to this either, but please, lads, that's the pass that I'm looking for. It's not the pass that's going to be remembered forever. It's the can you play that pass through lines and then you're in. Simmons drops into a really nice position, similar to many of the positions Phil Foden's been picking up in this tournament, and then plays into Gakpo. And he's a player, I think, when he runs with it, you have faith in his ability to at least keep or provide something. There have been question marks on his ability to maybe turn that into a serious volume of goals. And although he strikes this very well, clearly Nitter in goal should save it. It's
Yeah.
two hands on it. Then the Dutch can maintain what they want to do in the game and also wait and hit them on the counter. I think the third goal is obviously is an almost ideal summary why so many teams, despite having so much more quality, will sit off opponents when they've got the lead. Although Daniel Marlon did have to deal with a pair of trainers on the pitch to score that goal as well. There was someone to come on the pitch a few minutes earlier, but did no one think of moving these trainers?
Yeah, I know.
Or were they thrown from the crowd? It
I don't know.
was weird.
Yeah, but you're right. Like no one just did anything about
And when
it.
he got dragged off, oh, my trainers. So
Yeah, weird one.
strange. I think the Dutch are a good team, not a great team. I think it's an interesting aspect. If England were to play Netherlands in the semi-finals, I think England would happily swap a couple of attacking players for a few Dutch defensive ones. And yet I don't think they're brilliant defensively, but as discussed pre-tournament, they've probably got the best collection
As a group, yeah.
of centre-backs within the tournament. And Matthias has been heavily linked with Manchester United over the last couple of days, is not getting a look in, although he didn't much for Bayern Munich at the end of last season, it's worth saying. They're using Mickey van der Ven as a substitute at left back at the moment. And also, very interestingly, should they meet England, if the two teams stick with their same tactical principles at the moment, the two teams do the same thing, but on opposite sides. So England will push Trippier, as we've seen on up on the left-hand side, and the Dutch do it with Dumfries on the right, which will create a very interesting narrative. Because you've got that where you've got two sides being quite offensive, pushing forward, and the other side, Aki and Walker respectively, don't tend to move much.
No.
But they do keep using Mickey van der Ven later and later in games. And I think it should England play them, that's something to think about, that perhaps later in the game, you're not going to do Mickey for pace. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, so you have to do something different there then.
But you can do him with movement and things like that. So you wouldn't want a bad example hypothetically, but Cole Walker's not even going to burn him on the outside if that's what you want him to do later in the game. You do want more the guile, kind of like the Cole Palmer type player, I think, later in the game.
Someone that can drift him, like
against the
move
Dutch,
him out of position. Yeah.
Exactly that. They keep the ball well in midfield. They move. Renders is a player I earmarked in the first game, actually, when they beat Poland, that I quite liked. And Charlton, that was probably the best I'd seen him yesterday. And that pass to Simmons is simplistic, but it's just on the money. And then in hurting, it's effective. Yeah. And I realized these passes are closed down by opponents and their passing lines quite a lot. But be braver and try that pass, because the reward, this is the perfect example of the reward if you can get it right. Simmons floating in that position is interesting. Although I might buy him in Euro Fantasy this week, I have no confidence in him returning.
Okay. Why?
I mean, he had the one that he got the pullback. Was it from Dumfries? I know it wasn't a brilliant pullback and it was a bit under him, but the touch was terrible. He had a chance in the game against Poland where it felt like he chanked it and he was missing on a bit of composure a little bit. So I just think him in that position, I think he's a nuisance player. He gets into nice positions and stuff. He can box crash at the right times, and he's busy. Am I worried about him technically as such? No. The selection of Steven Bergwijn was interesting. We do think he went off injured at half time, or at least it was said that he had a problem. But that was a very, very surprising inclusion.
Yeah.
I think Stevie's obviously a player I know really well. You can play him anywhere across the front line, and he's steady. He's disciplined. He'll put the work in for you, and he allowed Dumfries to push on. I think even more than what had been happening in other games. But I wouldn't have backed Bergwijn to score the 2 goals that Tonio Marlon scored in the second half. So I presume Marlon will come back into the team for Sunday. It might be an interesting punt for people. I wonder if the Dutch would be better off without Depay.
Okay. I've seen a few people saying that, to be fair. What's your thinking behind it?
Um,
And who would you replace him
clearly,
with? Like Weghorst?
clearly with him, it's never been in doubt of technical quality. Never, right? He joined Manchester United, what, 9 years ago? It's like a
Mm.
footnote in his career that most of us have forgotten. But, he's played for Barca and stuff as well. There's enough people thought enough good things about him. Um, and with the headband now as well, and, you got to be good if you're wearing that stuff.
You
I
do
think
have
the
to be
big,
good, yeah.
I think the big problem with him is what he brings the rest of the team. Clearly, in any given moment, as seen by the outrageous effort from the corner, which I know a lot of people are like, what are you doing? He's trying to score from the corner
Yeah.
legitimately. He's not far off, actually. Clearly, there's technical quality. I think he's making them easier to play against, though. And
Yeah,
I
he
think
is.
I
He
think
doesn't.
better teams can hurt that.
Yeah, I think the one thing I don't get with him is that kind. We spoke about Ronaldo's off the ball movement and like his aggressiveness and kind of dragging people in and around the penalty box. I don't really get that from Memphis, and I feel like he can be quite easy to defend against because his movement can be quite predictable and like he'll always drift into pockets and he's kind of away from the penalty area and the danger zone. So I do get what you mean, to be fair.
Yeah, a lot of us gambled Gakpo. You know why a lot of us gambled Gakpo? Because we
Oh,
didn't want to go with the pie.
yeah.
It's
Damn, what a
reality.
gamble that was. Great shout.
Reality. To be honest, quite straightforward actually. If you was going to have a Dutch player, I think it was quite straightforward choice. Now we can all be clever dicks and look at the afterwards. But most of us who went for Gakpo probably won't do it because we'll go, oh well, Gakpo's this, that, and the other. It's probably just going, I didn't want the pie.
Yeah.
It's probably what it fell down to.
Did you see that change happening then? I
No,
personally think he'll stick with it. Yeah.
no, I don't. I mean, it's worth saying what's the alternatives for them in that position. It's
Of course.
Joshua Xerxes, who's quite well rated. There's a few clubs in the Premier League looking at him at the moment. I can't honestly tell you enough about him. He's fairly inexperienced at that level. The one he keeps using is Weghorst.
Yeah.
That doesn't improve a potential problem that they might find further down the line off the ball in terms of their first line of defence.
Yeah. But
But
his movement's good.
Weghorst does cause an element of chaos if they defend well. Um, I think largely have defended well, but in the group game against Austria, I said to you, like De Vrij, who I thought had been really good in the other 2 games, didn't play well. Um, he's the best partner for Van Dijk, despite Danny Murphy, who seems to commentate on every Netherlands game. I don't understand why Mickey van der Ven doesn't play. It's quite straightforward, Danny. It's because they want to push Dumfries up on the right-hand side. And what does everyone want to do with Van Dijk? Do the same at Liverpool, and I don't want to admit this, but they protect him. So if
Yeah.
he's sitting in the middle of the back three in the build-up, and also his distribution is exceptional, then it works. It works for him to have Aki one side and De Vrij the other side, rather than I've got 2 left footers. I'm going to have
Yeah.
to play right-sided centre back. And Van
It
Dijk
forms a nice
always leans
balanced
to the
three
left
then.
for Liverpool as well. So that's why De Vrij gets the nod. Why De Vrij gets the nod over De Ligt might be more of a debate, but I think people who watch more Bundesliga football than me can probably answer that question a little better. Yeah, good result from the Dutch, isn't it? You win in a knockout game, major tournament, 3-0, brilliant result, fully deserved, 6 big chances, basically matched the XG. They won this very comfortably in the end. Good team, not a great team.
Yeah. I think that's bang on the money.
We knew Austria and Turkey was going to be fun, didn't we?
Mate, Jesus Christ. I can't remember what I predicted in the Romania Netherlands game, but Austria Turkey, I went 4-2 Austria. So obviously I got it wrong, but what I was kind of getting at is I think this is going to be chaos. And within a minute, what did I text you? This is going to be chaos. 1-0 Turkey within a
And what
minute.
did I message you back?
I actually forgot. What did you say? Let them cook.
Yeah, exactly. I'm down with the kids, mate. I'll just
Yeah,
message you back and let them cook. Just watch the football, mate.
yeah, unbelievable game. I think why I enjoy games like this so much is I don't want to underplay the amount of detail that these teams and coaches go into, but I do feel like at the top level, modern football is so tactically controlled and
You're
like
so spot on here.
every element of top tier football feels like it's controlled and optimized and very meticulous. And I'm not saying these two haven't prepared to that level, but I do think the handbrake is off a little bit more. They let them just go and play, and it's so liberating. I just love it. It's such an entertaining game of football. I was exhausted at the end, but in a positive way.
I think I agree with your point massively. It's also there's a couple of points to this. I think it's really important. One, there is an I don't want to say nothing to lose nature, but there isn't pressure on Austria or Turkey to win this tournament, right?
Yeah,
You can, I mean, the way the Turkish players, all of them dropped to pretty much, I wouldn't even say their knees,
yeah,
laid down
they were
when the final
dead.
whistle went. That's a major achievement for them to hit a quarterfinal.
Yeah,
And despite some clever dicks like me tipping up Austria pre-tournament, it would have been a big achievement for Austria to reach a quarterfinals
still
as
think it
well,
was a
right?
good tip up. Yeah,
And none of these teams, no one's looking at Austria failed. No one's looking at that.
no,
So there is an element that the pressure is not the same is important. But I also think probably the biggest thing here is, and this is going to come across harsh, but it's the truth. The technical quality in that game last night was bad.
it was. Yeah,
That's part why we enjoyed it so much
yeah, it's true.
because we don't watch many games like that anymore where, oh, blood, I can't keep the ball. Neither of them. I mean, Turkey went through serious problems. I don't want to say they didn't deserve it or anything like that, but there had periods of that game you could not string a couple of passes together.
Yeah,
And yet you have other moments in the game, even especially in the first half at 1-0, where maybe the nerves hadn't kicked in so bad. And they were beginning to remind me of the really good team that England had played sort of in the 2004 qualification. Where these are such a good technical team. There's aspects I like about them. They switched to a back three last night, which I think was probably the right setup because that dealt with Austria's midfield runners far better, that they could see it coming. That meant that they had a little bit less control, but they also played really interestingly where you can watch them for periods. Who's playing up front? Who don't really know
yeah.
whether it's like Gula's
It's
playing
very
like a
fluid.
false
Yeah,
nine, or as I said, Yilmaz with his bleach blonde hair just drifts to the right, and he gives them nothing defensively, by the way. So there's a little bit of chaos and erraticness in them. And also ultimately they have won this game through two really bad pieces of defending
yeah.
on set plays from Austria. And it was set plays early in the game that kind of give us an idea of what we were going to get because Austria's defending on the first goal is horrendous. The pat out from Patrick Pence, the Austrian goalkeeper, I understand that he has got a millisecond to make a decision about what he's doing because he's got to stop the ball crossing the line, but it's also a bit Patrick Pants for me. And it was said on commentary. I think Lee Dixon said it. I don't agree with much that he says it does look small in goal. And once he said it, I thought I can't
You
unsee
can't
this now.
unsee that.
You are
Yeah,
right, actually. Um, I wouldn't blame him on the second goal as per se, or even the first goal, but I don't think it helps. Didn't have a domination to be able to defend these set plays. And we've liked Austria. I think the reason we've liked them is because it's high intensity, off the ball pressure, and they don't play like a team that's inferior.
no,
They have played against France and the Netherlands and thrown punches at them. And that's why we've liked them. And there'll be a miss.
yeah.
There'll be a miss. So I don't think Turkey will beat the Netherlands.
Neither do I, but I don't want to rule him out.
No, you
So,
can't rule them out because I haven't got that much trust in the Dutch.
no,
Um, I think it's a great result for Turkey as well, considering their most established and well-known player in
I was
Kalkanoglu
just
was
gonna
obviously
say that. Yeah,
suspended. I must have said that to you 10 times before the game. It's going to be a real big miss that he's suspended. They dealt with it well. There's a case to say that they might have even had a little bit more balance without him, where they felt less of a need to look for him
yeah,
in build-up. They are, from the first time I saw them, though, in the Georgia game, I said to you, They are so vulnerable defensively.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the way they went man to man last night was great and impressive and very aggressive. But I do feel like with the quality players the Dutch have on the ball, they could get picked off if they get their press wrong against them. And to be fair to Austria, like they created a lot of chances as well, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And the Netherlands might not create as much, by the way, and it might not be as much chaos. We have to recognize the fact that Turkey essentially got a one goal start here. So, from a game state perspective, led the whole game. And I think there's a fine line to agree and say Turkey defended really manfully and well and heroically at times and all those sort of things. But it was also a mess a lot as well.
yeah.
It was. It was. It wasn't like with Slovenia and the effort they was putting in Portugal. I don't think Turkey didn't put as much effort in as Slovenia, for example. But Slovenia defensively, considering the opponent they're playing against as well, was so well structured in what they were
Yeah.
doing off the ball. Turkey just felt like chaos. And I also think the chaos maybe suits them a little bit. Maybe the weather and, like I said, the atmosphere and all those things for them
Gets the
last night
adrenaline
really
pumping.
helped them. But, and I don't think it will bite me because I think England will get beat on Saturday.
Do you?
But you know that because I've told you
No,
that already.
I didn't know that.
But I think if England played Turkey in the semi final, I'd be extremely confident. And I bet you that game would have a passage for 20 minutes where we can't get the ball. And it won't matter because
Well,
I
you
don't
don't.
think they'll be able to defend us.
Yeah.
I would find them the chances of them pulling off a Greece. I mean, they certainly couldn't do it in Greece's style anyway, but the chances of them pulling off winning this tournament, I would find as extremely unlikely, despite the fact it's not improbable that they reach a final because
Because of the draw. Yeah.
clearly Turkey, Switzerland, England, Netherlands, any of them could get to the final. Could Turkey beat the Netherlands and England or Switzerland? Yes. But I would be quite relaxed about playing Turkey, I think.
Yeah, I would as well, to be fair. But one moment we've not mentioned, that save at the end. Oh my God.
Go on. I'm going to let you bite here before I piss everyone off.
You don't think it's that good?
Shout out your boy's name first, Mert Gunok,
Yeah.
who's coming to the team. He's better than Binder. He couldn't have been worse anyway.
Go on, get out of the way.
All right, fine. I'll do it. When Baumgartner, who had it felt like he had about 10 efforts on goal last night, by the way. Those who own him are pretty unlucky not to have anything in fantasy. The expected goal on target after the header is 0.90. That's massive.
0.90.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Bloody hell. I didn't think it was
And
that
I was
much.
really surprised by that. Clearly, in the moment, it's a brilliant mate. It's one of the moments of the tournament so far. Because not only is it so late, literally, when his hand makes contact with the ball, that is 4 minutes of added on exactly. You at that moment, you're thinking, is that the last touch of this football match? Because they're more restricted with the added times. I'm pleased that the referee let the corner go. Yeah, let them have a corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as long as it weren't against England, I'd be happy. Yeah, let them have the corner and stuff. But it was dramatic. They've won, is what you think as well in that moment. And I look after the game online. I think that's the best save I've ever seen. And
Yeah, I wouldn't say best I've ever seen, but within the
it's a brilliant save. However, I'd ask anybody to go back and pause it at the moment that his hand makes contact with the ball and tell me where the ball is. And if you can tell me it's anywhere other than just dead center of goal,
but you're doing like the VAR equivalent of
I
you.
forensically analysed this save last night
But
because I tell you why as well, and I'm happy to be corrected by better goalkeeping
was it
experts
bang
as
in the
well.
middle? Was it?
And it might be that he did it intentionally. I think he took one step to his left too far.
Okay.
I think if Baumgartner hits the corner, he's got absolutely no chance. But I also, what I don't know is, I don't know if he did it intentionally and gambled that if it went towards the near post, he'd just get a foot on it because he kind of blocked that area of the goal. Or that he could make this heroic save because he'd be able to dive
Oh,
full length.
you cynical bastard.
When he saves it, his feet are barely off the ground. It's obviously an extremely good save. It happens from point blank range. I'm not criticizing it as not a good save. It's a great save. And maybe where he propels it to in terms of where he gets it safe is absolutely great. I saw people comparing. Do you remember Peter Schmeichel's save for Manchester
Yeah,
United against Rapid Vienna?
I get where you're coming from in terms of comparisons and stuff. Like it's not
That Schmeichel save, and yes, Gordon Banks as well, for people who want to go
David
back
Seaman.
further in 1970. They're nearly on the floor when they save it. When the guy saves it, it's like hip height. It's
Yeah,
a
no, I
great
get that.
save, but
But I
calm
think
down,
it's like
everyone.
it's appreciating it for what it is in that context and
Yeah,
environment.
when it
Not
happened, I went, "Oh my god, what a
yeah.
great save!" And then I saw it a few times and went, "It's not that great."
Yeah, but
Sorry.
you're literally doing the flipping
I'm right
re-referee.
bastard today.
Yeah.
Honestly, my bus was late this morning. Yeah, sorry. I did get out of bed the wrong side. I'm not going to lie. Harry, where's my phone? Took my phone this morning. I did get out of bed on the wrong side, I
No, I
admit.
get it. Like I'm sure because to be fair, I haven't gone and rewatched it and stuff, and I'm sure if I do, I'll probably see what you say. But I think for me, it's like when moments like that happen in the context of it's the final minute, it's just appreciating it for what it is in that moment and the emotion it kind of drives up and stuff. But yeah, I do agree for what it's worth. Like I saw a lot of people. I think I tweeted like what a save, or unbelievable save, or something. But I did see a few people comparing it to some of the greater ones. I was like, all right, like I'm not there with that, but just appreciating it for what it was last night. I thought, yeah, fair play. But I will go and
Yeah, I wouldn't
forensically
even say it's
anal.
the same of the tournament.
Okay, what was? As
I
you
don't
know
know. I
from
need
the
to look at other saves,
yeah from the
but
quiz we did last week, my memory of the group stage is gone already. So
that one, Mamadashvili made, I told you, the one that Mamadashvili made from Diogo Dallo, which no one will ever see again because it was in between
they were showing
Georgia
everything.
not getting and then VAR getting a penalty in the Georgia-Portugal game. Yeah, there you go. There's my answer. But full credit to Mert Gunnock. It was a brilliant, brilliant save, and it was a brilliant, brilliant moment.
Say it
Acknowledged.
like you mean it, James.
I just did. Congratulations to the 0% of fantasy managers who gambled on Merid Demiral and his 2 goals. Yes, I did check. 20-pointer, 0% owned. I'm sure there are some people out there who do own him. A two I did like from them, who I thought stood out, was the left wing back, Ferdi Kadıoğlu. I'm going to pronounce that incorrectly. Checks notes. Kadıoğlu.
Yeah,
Who I think I want to say is at Fenerbahce.
he is. Yep.
Yeah, I liked him. Yeah, looks a really good play on the left hand side. He gave me Benoit Asuikoto vibes, which the Tottenham fans I think will appreciate what I'm saying
I
there,
was gonna say, I
but
think
most
most
other
people
people
outside of
probably
Tottenham
won't.
won't.
I
Yeah.
liked Benoit. I liked Benoit.
And he didn't like football, did he?
No, he didn't. I'm sure Kadioglu really does like football. Um, they are ropey defensively, to repeat. That's my take. And if you want to gamble Turkey in fantasy this week, be my absolute guest. If you said to me now, Turkey get through against the Netherlands, I think that's like 2-2, 3-2 or something like that. I don't see it being 1-0. I'll
No,
tell you what I was thinking. When they were winning 1-0, I was thinking if there was any team in this tournament that you could go 2-0 down against and come back against them, it might be
it's
Turkey.
Turkey. Yeah, I thought the same thing.
And then it went 2-0 and I didn't and then it went 2-0 and I didn't think that. I thought, would have won. And then when it went 2-1, I was straight on Slack to the guys. I said, these lot will buckle here. They're going to be under real duress. And they were. It was a combination of heroic stuff and also some shit yourself stuff. But they're fun. I don't want to be too
Very
critical of
fun.
them. They're
Yeah.
fun. To go back to the original point, I think um, both teams were missing a lot of technical quality. I think both were well coached. I think despite losing, I think particularly Austria were well coached. I think we should remember the some of the parts of what he's got out of this actually in terms of Ralph Rangnick. Um, I would be very surprised if Turkey won this tournament. They would, for me, they would be the outsiders of the eight right now.
Yeah.
I think most
But
people would agree with that.
yeah, from their perspective, they're probably just happy to have got to the quarters, right? And I think to my original point, in a world of every area of top football being measured and controlled, I just found them a breath of fresh air, in particular that game last night.
Yeah,
And
I think there is a wider conversation, which goes back to a conversation we had on Patreon about what do England want to be
What do you want to be?
in
Yeah,
terms of
good
longer
point.
term vision. I think it's probably something about stop about what do people want to see in football. Would you rather? Because it's okay to really enjoy that last night and also still recognize and say, look, technical quality is
I don't
not
want
as
Arsenal playing like
high.
that. God no.
That's a really good point. Yeah, because I think it's that, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
like I like watching you play that, but I
yeah,
don't want my team to
yeah,
be
yeah,
that
100%.
that bonkers and not have that control. You can still play entertaining football and be like Klopp's Liverpool or whatever, right? But there's a lack of control
Yeah,
and technical quality there. But most of us would rather watch that than watch France against Belgium the other day,
yeah,
which
agree.
is a big step up in terms of technical quality, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But I also think it comes back to the pressure and demands put on a requirement for success for certain teams as well.
Yeah, I think the other part of this tournament for me, which has been nice, is like I've heard of names like Yamal and Arda Güler, and I haven't really seen them much for their clubs, like once or twice, if that's so. For me, it's been really nice to actually watch them like in 90
Yeah,
sustained periods and
and
stuff.
and it is nice learning about new players. And we've lost a lot of that because of Champions League coverage and our exposure to
Social
football just
media.
globally. You hear your team get linked to a player. I can access everything I want in 10 minutes in terms of info and video clips on him, etc. Yeah, football's lost that small little the unknown, if you will. Right, tell you what, let's do something fun to finish this.
Go on.
I'm gonna give you the name of the tournament. Tell me what you think in one word.
You're going to give me what? A player's name?
No, team. The
Oh,
teams at the
okay.
tournament. Describe them in one word.
All right.
England,
Boring.
Spain,
Possession. Mm.
France,
Dull.
Germany,
Control.
Netherlands,
End to end. That's not one word. Direct.
harsh, Portugal,
Ronaldo.
Switzerland,
Granite.
Granite, maybe, and Turkey.
Chaos. Go on,
Yeah, I
let's do
like
the same for
chaos.
you.
Um, no, I won't do that.
Ha.
But I will group these teams. I think Spain and Germany, don't miss that on Friday. Those have been the best two teams in this tournament. Within there is vulnerability. France and England are defensive and boring. It might be the final because of that.
It could be the most effective way to win it.
Switzerland are probably the best pound for pound balanced team. To go back to what you'd said a lot on Monday about spatial structure, etc. The Netherlands are capable. Portugal need to deal with their Ronaldo issue. Turkey are chaos, but we'll probably all enjoy it. We might end up watching these quarterfinals and getting a Sunday night and be pleased that Turkey's on last and we're watching them again.
Yeah.
Might be. And yes, they could definitely beat the Dutch and they could definitely beat England in the semi final. But I would, in a weird way, as I said, if we played them, I'd be pretty confident, I think. Arguably, maybe even more confident than any of the three teams we played in the group.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment based on the style and the openings they give up.
Do you think we'll create chances? And I'd fancy our players to finish them.
Yeah, and I think the other teams
And
we
it
had to play
takes a
with.
lot right now as an Englishman to sit here and go, I think we'll create chances.
Yeah, I think it's just because the other teams set up more defensive, right? Whereas Turkey, like we both use the word chaos. So through chaos, you get openings.
Who do you think will win it?
The tournament,
Yeah.
Germany or Spain, but I'm not sure. Whoever wins that tie, I think will go on to win the tournament. But I don't know who. If I had to hedge my money, I'm going Spain, you know.
I think
How
Spain beat
about
Germany to win it.
how about you? Who do you think will win
I
it?
think if Germany beats Spain, I think France will win it.
Interesting. Why is it you think France will beat Germany and not Spain?
I think the margins of playing against France are so fine and they'll have a moment against Germany. Whereas I think Spain might really push France in. And I just trust them a little bit more in terms of their retention if it becomes a tighter game, which
Sure.
just I think naturally against France it would. Whereas Germany will still be a bit more direct, a little bit more looser in what they do. And I think the chances will probably be there for France on the counter if those two teams met as well.
Sure. And
But yeah,
you obviously
Spain have been the best team I've watched. But also, again, as discussed earlier in this week, have they really been challenged? We
and
don't
they
actually know.
no, and like I said, there were even though Georgia didn't create quality chances, there were periods where they broke in numbers, very direct, where they got into areas where Spain looked a little bit nervous. So yeah, one to watch. You touched on you think Switzerland will win on Saturday.
Yeah,
What? Why is that? Because I think the same, to be fair.
they're a better football team than us.
Wow, that's mental, isn't it? I don't disagree. Yeah,
Yeah, I think this will be the big challenge for England. I think if we win Saturday, I think we'll make the final. Let me sell it that way to flip it.
yeah, fair. I don't, but doesn't matter. It's coming home.
Okay. There's more to be discussed. Suj is rejoining me tomorrow for People's Poll podcast. Keep an eye on Twitter
Welcome
for
back, boss.
the available votes for that. I will tell you what they are, but I haven't quite decided yet. So I don't want to decide. Don't want to tell you now. But if you get on my Twitter at some point this afternoon, you'll find it. And I'll be streaming on Friday as well, 12 o'clock UK time with Ask James. So plenty of time before 5 o'clock's Germany, Spain kickoff. If you've got any Euro questions or any other business questions, feel free to jump on and ask me on that stream. Clates, thanks very much.
Been a pleasure.
Euro reviews will return next Monday. Cue music, please, man child.